Good morning, one and all. This is Ray from Next Forex Trade. Today is Monday, the 30th of September, 2019. It's just gone 10:20 here in the UK. Just trying a different time for these live streams. Usually, to date, been doing to about 6 or 7. So just trying a different time today as well. It'll be like this probably for the next couple of weeks, around this time between 9 and 10 a.m. UK time. So let's crack on. Let's just have a look at what we've got going on at the moment. So at the moment I've got positions on two separate currency pairs, EURAUD and CHFJPY. Those are currently in profit at the moment. We'll come to those a bit later, but as usual, let's just run through the market and just see what opportunities there are currently available. And if you're unfamiliar with this strategy, I'm just going to run through that quickly. So this is a trend-based strategy based on time frame correlation and price action. So the first thing that I look for is signs of a trend in place. So in a downtrend, lower lows and lower highs, something like we have here. In an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows. Then I would look for the price to be in area of being overbought if I'm shorting, or oversold if I'm going long. So I determine it's overbought if the price is using the standard deviation, which is this channel we've got around here, is in the upper edge, and always looking at the daily first of all before considering the lower time frames. So overbought is generally in this area here, so the upper half of our standard deviation channel. The closer we can get to the upper edge, the better, and typically a stop loss would be above the previous lower high in a downtrend and above the previous higher low in an uptrend. So once we determine the price has been overbought, in this instance in downtrend, what I'm looking for is some signs for entry. So that's where the time frame correlation is. I want the lower time frames. We've got the 4 hourly, 15, 5 here, to be saying something very similar to the daily. So I want these to be showing lower lows and lower highs as well to allow for an entry. So that's the basis of the strategy. It will make more sense as we go through the different pairs in the market and look for opportunity. So at the moment, let's have a look at EURCAD, which is the one I've got up at the moment. You can see got some nice signs of bearishness, lower lows, lower highs. Price had interacted with our upper standard deviation channel here. Now, this for me isn't a great time to be shorting this, because at the moment we can see the price is coming into this support here, these previous levels of support. The price is currently interacting with this, and I don't want to sell into that support. I want to sell off of resistance rather selling into support. So this is an instance where this move is just a little bit too late for me. The opportune time was really when it was up near these levels here. So this in today's market is a no for me. I would need to see a bit more value for money, the price pull back before considering shorts on that. So we got the AUD CHF here. So what's going on with this? So overall, it's a bit of limbo at the moment. Certainly on the daily and on the weekly as well, if you were to go up a time frame, we'd see this bearishness, which is prevalent, lower lows, lower highs overall. The most recent move being this one here, where it was interacting with our produce a lower high here, interacting with our upper standard deviation channel. The problem for me at the moment with this is this retrace that we've seen in the price here. There's some quite it's still quite bullish in this move. It hasn't really broken out of this bullish it's a retrace really. It's not, I wouldn't call this a reversal. I wouldn't be looking to go long on this just yet, but there's just not enough information to really go with the trend on this at the moment, because you can see how the price has found support both horizontally and against our standard deviation channel here. So this level here is quite significant, because if we zoom in a bit, we can see that there was previous resistance there. It's zonal, if you like. It's not exact point, but there was previous levels where the price had much trouble going much higher than. It's come down over recent days. It's found support. It's found trouble moving much lower than, so it's finding support. So because the move that I would like to get on is just to go with the trend on this and go short, really I would want to see it break that level of support first of all before attempting to short this. The other time frames are looking nicely bearish at the moment. So 4 hourly, hourly, good signs of lower lows, lower highs, but just to make this a more probable trade for me, less risky, what I'd want to see is it break that support and potentially have stops above this level here, this lower high. But yeah, it's really just wait and see to see how this progresses in this week as to whether I would consider shorting this. So pass on that one for today. CADJPY, similar story obviously because it's the same. It's both crossed by the AUD. Definitely bearish overall in this move that we're seeing, high to low here. Right, this is nice, but it's just a few too many warning signs to be short yet because of this support that we've seen. We've seen this previous highs here, the horizontal, this level here. It's found support here, so I don't want to sell into that support just yet. Well, I don't want to sell into it all. I want it to break it first of all. So pass on CADJPY. So now we've got AUD USD. Bearish obviously on this because we're seeing these lower highs, lower lows, nice even our standard deviation. Lower time frames are looking good as well. There's nice bearishness in place. Now would I trade this? No, not at the moment. I mean, it is tradable. This is something, so my typical risk scale is between 0.5% and 1%, sorry, and 3% overall in any one position. Now this is slightly better than the previous ones because that kind of retrace isn't as prevalent in the move that was going up, so it has kind of maintained its bearishness. Yeah, the moment, as I would have mentioned last week, the main problem for this is in shorting this now is where the stop loss would need to be. It would need to be above this previous lower high here to make sense on several time frames. And the problem with that is it projects our take profit way beyond previous lows. So this is about 150 odd pips to enter with a stop loss above this previous lower high. And it would mean on a one-to-one reward to risk, so we're risking as much as we gain to stand to gain, it would mean our take profit would be at these levels here. And for me, that's not great because it has to break these previous lows in order to achieve that. And it's just a really wide stop. It would be much better if the take profit were before these levels here. But obviously that messes up the reward to risk. We'd be risking more than we stand to gain. So it doesn't really stack as a trade for me. So overall, I am bearish on this. But before entering this, I'd like to see a bit more value for money. So for the Aussie dollar to basically get a bit stronger and then show signs of reversal. So I'll pass on that for now, and let's see what else is available. So this is the CAD CHF. No, don't like this price action at all. It's very choppy. You can see it's very sideways. There's no discernible trend in this price action, so there's no trend to be my friend here, so I will pass on that. Next, this looks better. I mean, this first thing that pops out, obviously nice signs of bearishness here, lower lows, lower highs. We've got standard deviation around the most recent downward move here. Price on the daily, just blow this up a bit. I mean, there's a good reference point for our stop loss, at least in this, in that if we're looking at this as the lower high, then we're looking for stops above this level, and that sits nicely because it's outside of it would be outside of our standard deviation at this price point here now. And obviously there's all this resistance here, so previous contact points that we can see, it's quite zonal, some support areas here where the price had trouble moving lower. So there's good reason to believe that the price could find it difficult to move much higher than that level, but that's not necessarily good enough reason to trade just yet. Yeah, this retrace as well is kind of caught my eye in that it's finding support off of the lows, if you like. You could even put just a trend line through that. So that's a bit dodgy, if you like, in terms of making a decision to trade. So, and you can see on these lower time frames as well, the price structure has been broken, whereas before it was making these lower highs here, in recent price action, it's made higher highs, if you like. So this was in this move here down to here, these were all lower highs, lower high, and it's started to make higher highs now. So it's giving more context to this move here. So yeah, I want to see some bearishness return to this. So what I would be looking for using the lower time frames, so the hourly, for example, or the 15-minute, is for it to start breaking past these lows here, so this previous low, to move lower and to pull back. That would then allow for the standard deviation to be going down like this, and give context again to this downward move. Because at the moment, come on, this is still too prevalent, this bullish move here. So yeah, seeing the price break through these previous lows, this previous resistance we can see as well. So price moving down there, pulling back and starting to move lower again would entice me to potentially short this, and using the lower high on the daily as a means for a stop loss, as an area for a stop loss. It would, that would stack as a trade, because let's say we have an entry maybe around here, put a 1-to-1, it's about 100 pips, let's call it, more or less. 1-to-1 reward to risk is here, which is way before these previous lows. The price doesn't have to break new and make new lows for you to make a profit of 1-to-1. So this trade stacks more for me, but it's not quite ready yet. So maybe later today or going later in the week, there might be more opportunities to short that. So this is a trade that I'm in already. We can see this is 2 positions that I have in this. So this is currently in profit. So this is CHFJPY. So it's currently, what's the net on that? That's about 18 to 20 pounds net after swaps and comms. So I'm still happy to hold this position. Price action is still maintaining. Based on a daily, I was using this as the context here for the downward movement. We've seen the price interact with the upper standard deviation, move away for that, and start to move lower as we can anticipate in a downtrend. So move away from the overbought area towards the average and potentially lower as well. The lower time frame support this price action is still good. It's had the price produce lower highs, lower lows. It's still roughly within our standard deviation, just over 1 standard deviation, just about, but it's still enough context to consider that this price is still going to continue with its bearishness and move lower. Now the hourly is slightly, the hourly on this is kind of not supporting as much the bearishness as when I originally entered, but there's still good enough reason to maintain the position. This initial entry here is good timing, good positioning. I'm happy with that. I may scale out of this. So scaling out is basically taking some of the position out because of what these hourlies are doing. When I'm in a trade, I want the trade to basically do what I want it, do what I envisage. So I've got a plan in my mind of what I want to see the price action to do. Of course, I have no control over that, but if it doesn't do that, I have the power. The thing that I can manage is my positions. So because not all of these are kind of congruent in their move, and it didn't move continually down as I'd wanted from the initial entry, I do have the option to scale out of this and take some of the money off the table, which I may consider, just depending on how these lower time frames start to materialize. So what I want to see is basically this continue with lower lows and lower highs. I'll be using the 15-minute and the 5-minute to help guide that. But if the price starts to take out these previous lower highs and start to move higher, create higher highs, that's a bit of a warning sign that at least in the medium term, that bearishness may not continue. So we'll have to update this later in the week, really. I'll come back to you and just explain how I've managed that. But overall, I'm happy with this. This entry here, you can see it was bang on support as well, which is kind of it's going to be quite a key level for this to break, because my sell that I took was basically selling right into that support that we can see here. We can see these previous levels, these here. So the price is probably going to have a bit of trouble moving past that. if it does move past that, then that will give me confidence to hold this position. But if it doesn't, and I start to see reversal candles off of where my entry was near, then it's highly likely that I'm going to consider removing that second position and just maintaining this first one. So overall in this, there's about 2% that I've got at risk, and the reward on this is around, so that's what, 200, hang on, let's just see, 230, and so that's 3, yeah, it's nearing, I mean, it's nearing 4% if this were to go as desired, because I'm looking to take profit off before these previous lows. But this is pretty much arbitrary, this take profit here. I will use the price action to guide my decision on how to manage this, but there's a lot of scope for this position here. Now, the question is, would I enter this if I wasn't already in this? No, because of the way the price has progressed already. I've already got good position up here. It's a bit too late to enter new positions in this for me. So if you were already in this, consider holding it. If not, I would certainly pass on trying to enter new positions for now. So let's go on to the next one. So here we got Euro AUD, bullish, very bullish move here. So higher highs, high lows on the daily. We've got context for our stop loss below these previous lows here. So this higher low here that we're seeing, which will also interacts with our standard deviation, our lower edge of this, and lots of support here, previous support, zonal, resistance here. So it tells us that the price could find trouble moving much lower than that. Our 4 hourly is, significantly bullish enough to consider being long. We can see, the price has found support in recent price action at these types of levels, previous highs here. So this is good, but would I go long on this if I wasn't already in positions? I'm not, by the way, I'm not looking to add any more positions for now until these close out, because there's no need to. It just increases my risk unnecessarily. But with this, how would I trade this? See, the problem with this is at the moment, the higher time frames, so the daily and the 4 hourly, have a pretty good story to them. The hourlies and the lower time frames are just a bit flat at the moment. This would be, would I trade this? This would probably be something that I would do if I were to do this. It would be at maybe 0.5%. So it's kind of a bit more speculative in terms of how I would trade this, because not all the stars are aligned on this. So, when that's the case, you've always got the option to pass, which 9 times out of 10 is probably the better option. But if you are, looking for positions, then certainly this would be something that I would consider at maybe 0.5% to tops 1%. But it would mean a stop loss below these lows here for the most conservative trade, because it clears that low on multiple time frames, on the daily, on the 4 hourly, on the hourly as well. So that makes sense in terms of stop loss placement, and it would mean that the take profit on a 1-to-1 285 is around these levels here, right? So that's achievable because it's going to be way before these previous highs here. Let's see if we can get it in on the daily, so that makes a bit more sense. So okay, so this is our stop here, roughly 300 and 345. So sorry, sometimes this is a bit fiddly. All right, let's just eyeball it. So around here, doesn't need to be precise because it's just to see if the trade stacks or not. So stop loss underneath here with 0.5% risk would mean a take profit around these levels, sits nicely before these previous highs, way before it's going to be in an overbought area in terms of our standard deviation. So the one thing to always forget to mention on this is to consider how much the swap would be, because that is quite a distance it has to move, unlikely to make in one day. So you're likely to be having to carry it over multiple days. and the swap on this, at least with my broker, is quite hefty. So it's minus 13.4. Yeah, so factoring in the swap and the distance this has to move, not great value for money. It's tradable, but you could trade this speculatively. Again, as a trader, the decision is yours. It's tradable, but not the best in terms of trading costs, if you like, that you need to factor in. So let's have a look at something else. So this is the other trade that I'm in. It's nearing take profit. This is the EURAUD. So again, this is this is a perfect example of the timing that I want to get in on these type of trades. You can see that this was my first entry here. Let's blow this up. This is my first entry here. It was basically where the price had interacted with our upper edge of our standard deviation channel. The price was overbought, seemingly overbought at the time. I was seeing that as a lower high. Price had moved past the low. I had my stop loss above this kind of congestion area where we had the resistance, previous resistance here. So the stop was in a sensible place. The price continued to move down. I was using the lower time frames to guide that decision to scale in. So I've got 2% overall risk in this, and I'm going in this instance to take the profits before this previous low here. So this was the last low in that bearish move, and I'm looking to take profits off before that. I mean, this could go a lot lower. At least this is the kind of oversold area here, but for some various reasons, I'm looking to take money off the table before that. So it's very close to hitting that take profit. Who knows? It might hit it today. It might completely reverse. Nothing's a given in the forex market. So it's just preparing for what could happen. Now, obviously, this is quite far gone in its move. Its extension is quite significant. So rather than see this profit go away and potentially reverse on me and hit this stop loss over there, what I'm going to do is use these previous highs here to guide my decision. Now, I haven't moved these down because sometimes because of the fact I can monitor it in a day. So I'm going to watch if the price does start to reverse and kind of attack these highs here. I'm going to see how they attack it. So I'm going to zoom in here, because here this lower high is the most recent reference point, right? So the price, if it were to make higher highs, then this downward trend would start to be invalidated. There's a potential of it creating to continue to make higher highs and higher lows, which is not what I want to see. But at the same time, I don't want to see all that profit go away that I've been able to achieve. So one way to manage this would be just pulling down the take profits like this, and then having it above here so that there's a locked in profit. I manage it slightly differently. That's the theory behind it, but I will be watching these because I'm able to be around the charts today to manually see this. And it's just, if the price does start to pull back and start to attack these, I want to see how it attacks this on the hourly and 15-minute, because if it comes up to these types of levels and I see reversal candles, I'm perfectly fine with that, because it just means it's interacting with our upper standard deviation and its previous resistance, and I'd be happy to hold that as it moves away. So moving a stop loss there, when you account for the spread and potential short-term spikes, there's a chance it could get stopped out unnecessarily. And if I weren't in front of the screen today, then I would be managing it with pulling down the automation of these stops, so pulling it down. But there's no need for that today. I can stay around to see how the price interacts at this level, but hopefully won't need to do that. It will hit my take profit and this will come out. This is going to be about £285 in total, and as well the swaps on these are generous because you get paid on the swaps whilst being short on this. So this stacks as a trade. Yeah, so this looks like I'll make a profit on this. It's highly unlikely that the price is going to do something so erratic that my original stops are going to get taken out. So I'm happy to hold that position for now. Would not be looking to add to this right now. It'd be a terrible time to short this, in my opinion. because you're just selling into that support. It's approaching this previous low. You'd be selling into that. Much better time is to wait for it to pull back and find some value before shorting. So yeah, so let's have a look what else we've got. And if you are watching this live, sorry, I'm just flicking between screens because I don't have my two screens set up at the moment. But if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat feature on YouTube, and I can answer those. So next one, we got Euro CHF. No, this is bearish overall, but it's just hitting too much support at the moment. Don't want to sell into that. Needs to find value, so pass. Euro GBP. Daily's getting better. It's getting more readable. This is nicer than it was before because we can see it's just fitting within our standard deviation in this bearish move. I still don't fancy it too much just yet. I'd want to see a nice reversal candle off of these, off the upper edge of our standard deviation, to give a clearer lower high and a better entry as well. Because if we get a reversal candle that's a nice short type candle, top kind of interacts here, it just means that you can have a tighter stop rather than it just interacting with it, but it being a massive long candle. So if this were to get engulfed, it would be, you know, a crappy entry because your entry would be all the way down here, and that gives you the same problem that I mentioned earlier of your stop being way up here, and then, you know, extrapolating where your take profit's going to be. It's going to be way beyond these previous lows, so that doesn't sit nicely for me. I want to see a nice small reversal candle off of these levels to allow for an entry. But the 4-hour looks the best on this at the moment, but daily it's not tasty enough yet. Need it to just do a bit more of what would be an ideal trade or ideal setup. So EURJPY. So EURJPY, let's have a look. Yeah, there's enough bearishness in this. And sorry for any pauses. Again, sometimes I'm just seeing these for the first time as I'm explaining them, so I need to think about it and then think how to explain it. So not great watching, I can appreciate, but I want to give you the best value in terms of what how you can trade it. So same problem with this. It's the stop loss. For me, it would need to be above this level to be the most conservative trade, and it pushes the take profit too far for me. So 228, yeah, the take profit would be beyond these previous lows. So yeah, it looks tasty in terms of the bearishness, great price action, but not enough value for money. I'd want to see it pull back to go a bit nearer to the upper edge of our standard deviation before potentially shorting that. So pass. Okay. So this is the Euro NZD. No, it's no discernible trend in the daily. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this, but in terms of a bullish move, but I want it to be down here, right? Not at the average. It's just too expensive. So it's too late in its move here. So should this pull back and start to find some value, see some reversals off of this type of level, then that would make sense. But as it is, nope. Okay, so this is the Euro USD. Definitely bearish overall, but again, it's kind of hitting previous lows. The price is at its no previous low. You'd be selling into that support. Needs to find value, so pull back. Euro needs to get a bit stronger. Again, pull back, see some reversals off of these types of levels, previous highs here. That would make more sense. So Euro GBP AUD. No, pass on that. What's this? GBP CAD. Bullish overall, but it's recently broken support. These previous highs here. It's just tipped through it. Now, in today's candle, if this continues in today's candle to kind of maintain, like finish something like what it looks now, that would be good. But because it would be, you know, interacting with these previous levels here, finding support in the lower edge of our standard deviation channel, great. Be oversold with the potential to move higher, but it's just too soon to say yet. We need this to close and look at this tomorrow, ideally with the price finding support here and then looking for bullishness on these lower time frames so that the price could move higher. And that would give a nice, I mean, if that were to happen, that would be nice, because it'd be a nice tight stop underneath these levels. But that's really conjecture until it happens. We need to wait and see. So this is GBP Swissy. Again, just need for the day to close, very similar to the last one. It looks like it could be finding support at these levels. It's interacting with our lower edge of our standard deviation. The previous levels aren't as good on this one. So on the last one, we saw there was kind of other resistance that the price was interacting with and other support levels. This, we've only really got the standard deviation to go by in terms of the support, which isn't as good because we want to see multiple confirming factors. It just increases the probability of the trade. But yeah, potentially later in the week could be looking for longs on this. These lower time frames will probably take a while to roll over. Roll over, I mean start to show higher highs and higher lows. But yeah, maybe we'll see. Check on it later in the week. GBPJPY. Let's have a look. This is similar to some of the other JPY crosses that I looked at earlier. It's a bit limbo because I'm seeing this here in the bearish move on the daily, but there's also this retrace as well that we're seeing. See how significant that is. No, it's not. Okay, so just bear with me one sec. I'm just trying to build a story of what's going on here. Okay, that's interesting. So I mean, initially what I was looking at is this move here, but that wasn't great in terms of shorting at the moment because of this bullish move that we saw on the kind of the retrace of that. But what I've done here, if we just clean this up a bit, just take off this one here. So this move here caught my eye because of the way this kind of reversed off the standard deviation. So that was oh, come on, there we go. You can see this candle here, there's these previous highs, these are kind of soft levels of support or previous resistance that we were seeing. So this candle here, yesterday or Friday and Thursday's candles, they found support on this quite neatly, which is also our standard deviation. It also, when I put the Fibonacci retrace on it, we can see that the price is retraced to 23 points. It's 23.6, so just turn these the other way around, so it's easier for you to understand. So sorry, it's a 38.2 retrace. So this is the kind of thing where I'm saying I don't use the Fibonacci in isolation. I'm looking for it to interact with other things as well. And this is when I talk about multiple confirming like factors, this is a good example of that. There's previous support in the price. We'll probably see that more apparent on lower time frames. So these previous lows where the price has found trouble moving much lower on the daily. It's also interacted with our standard deviation, the lower edge of it. It's also been a Fibonacci retrace at 38.2. So those are three or so confirming factors to tell us that the price could find moving much lower than this troublesome. So that means we've got a good reference point for our stop below that level. So when we look to the lower time frames, obviously this move is exactly the same on the 4 hourly as this one. It's just more contact points, and we can see on the daily, sorry, on the hourly, that same support that I was talking about here, where it's having trouble moving lower. It was only 2 points on the daily, but when we look on the hourly, you can see there's, you know, far more contact points to give more significance to that support. So what I'd be waiting for on this is the price action to be broken on the hourly. We can see at the moment it's giving lower lows and lower highs. Here it's finding support, but what I'd want to see is the price break this previous high here. So then it will no longer be making these lower lows and lower highs. It will then potentially be making higher highs and higher lows. And this is quite a significant area as well, these previous resistance here. So the price breaking through that and then pulling back gives us a good sign that bullishness could continue. And having a stop loss underneath these levels, you know, let's say you get an entry maybe around these levels. This would stack as a trade because our 1-to-1 reward to risk takes us to around about these levels here, which is way before these previous highs here. So that would stack as a 1-to-1, possibly get 2-to-1 out of that, but it is just keeping your eye on that intraday movement to see how this progresses. So during today, certainly if these previous highs start to get broken and we see the price move higher and pull back, that for me would be a decent entry. So yeah, GBPJPY definitely on the watch list. GBPNZD. Check the questions here. Okay, no, it's fine. So GBPNZD. Yeah, it's looking pretty tasty. There's better stuff out there, and that's the thing. If there's a better trade out there, why deliberate over risking, splitting your risk across multiple ones, especially if they could be moving in the same direction, so correlated or negatively correlated, where they move in opposite directions. It's just increasing the trouble it means to manage the trade and increasing potentially your risk as well if you're unaware of how the currencies are correlated. So for me, this has some decent opportunity in it, but I just think, actually, let me just have a closer look at this. Having said that, sometimes it's just about picking the best one. This is okay. Why I'm hesitating on this is, whereas the other one that we looked at, it was interacting with our standard deviation, giving a nice sign that it was really I can't remember what it was. Was it going short? No, let's just have a quick look. Going long. Okay, so yeah, here you can see the way that we had the multiple confirming factors, right, with the retrace on the fib, the reversal off the standard deviation, and the previous support stroke resistance as well. This one, so GBP NZD, there's not as many confirming factors. The Fibonacci retrace isn't really there. There are different previous highs as well. It's found support off of, fine, but it just hasn't pulled back as much. There's not as much value for money in this. I would have liked to have seen it. A better quality trade would have been reversing off of the standard deviation channel. So yes, this is an okay trade, not great to be long in. There's a definite reference point for a stop below there, but there's just better stuff out there in my opinion. So I would pass on that for that reason. GBP USD. Again, it's a play of this retrace really. I'm still in the bigger picture bearish on this, but this bullish move here is the timing on it is good enough to consider taking a long position. But yeah, there's nice reversals on a daily, significant levels. There was this previous resistance here interacting with our standard deviation at the bottom, but there's no real signs of bullishness, I would say, in these lower time frames. So what I'm looking at on the 4 hourly here is, I was looking at this move here, It's fallen outside of standard deviation. It looks like it could be finding resistance off of it, which isn't great because we're looking to potentially go long on this. So that isn't that isn't congruent with what we want to see on the daily. Also, in this move here, we'd want to see it making higher highs and higher lows, and you can see it's broken previous lows here and moved past lower. So yeah, it's not great. It's not great. So I would pass on this. Lower time frames very bearish as well. So I would pass on this for now. Wait for it either to these to roll over and start showing higher highs and higher lows, and if the stop loss was the entry was good enough to allow for, you know, a take profit that would give you a 1-to-1 before these levels here with a stop loss under here, fine, potentially take that. But yeah, the other thing is just waiting for it to move lower, so break this support here, move lower and pull back. So yeah, it's a bit of limbo at the moment. I can't see any of those coming anytime soon, so that's maybe a couple of days before that materializes. So pass on that. NZD CAD, too oversold, sorry. It's too far gone in this extension. Be selling into that support, so pass on that. There are reference points, but for me, it's not great because of where the stop would need to be. Yeah. First thing, a stop would take stop. This is the lower high in this downward move. So these are lower highs. This was the last lower high. Need a stop above there. Not great because it's still within our standard deviation as well, should the price reverse. And also the take profit would be projected beyond the previous low, which isn't great. So it would be, you know, way down at these levels here. So you're asking a lot of the markets basically to hit a 1-to-1 profit with a stop based above here. It's got to move, you know, a considerable distance and basically break and make new lower lows as well. So not my preferred trade, so I would pass on that for that reason. No, immediately this is bearish overall, but going into support. Don't want to sell into that support. Needs to pull back. What's this? USD CAD, no, too choppy. No discernible trend there. Pass. USD CHF. No, it's just a bit of limbo at the moment. This level here that I've got in with this horizontal, a clear sign of resistance. The price has had a lot of trouble moving higher than. But yeah, why would you want to go long now? Because if you take a long position now, you'd be buying into that resistance. So this is the opposite of what I was saying before. You don't want to buy into when you're going long. You want to buy off of support. So you want to buy down here, not buy into potential resistance. When you're shorting, it's the opposite. You want to sell off of support and not sell into. Sorry, you want to sell off of resistance and then not sell into support. So this here, the timing on that for me would be crap because, yeah, there's little potential to the upside, but not enough to make it worthwhile. It's just too risky a position in my opinion, so I'd pass on that. And USD JPY, same story as the last one. There's this retrace in place. Overall, there's bearishness, so this could break through these previous highs and move higher. And you know, that would be fine later on if we see it pull back and find some value, but really this could still reverse and continue with our bearishness to the downside. So in that case, we'd want to see this low taken out, and again, that's going to take a few days to happen. We'd need to see it break that low and pull back to give some decent value for money, so pass on that also. Yeah, that's it. That's the entire market. So don't forget to subscribe to the site, get notifications as well when this goes live, so you can also ask questions in real time. And yeah, watch these back obviously to get the trading ideas. So there's a few trading ideas in there. I forget which one I mentioned. I think it was GBPJPY was the best setup. But check the descriptions. Not long after putting these up, also put in the timestamps so you can jump to the specific pair that might be of interest for you. But yeah, I will see you guys again tomorrow here, Monday to Friday, with a daily update on the markets. Take care. Bye.